piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What up, film fans? Welcome to episode 305. Welcome to Maxxxine, and welcome. You are listening to a new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan. I'm joined by the cast, the crew, the Ed.
What's up? How's it going, folks?
What's up, man? How's your week been? Did you have a good weekend? Good 4th?
Dude, I gotta tell you. Okay, as you know, because I recently quit the job you are at. We've gone through a lot.
I hope you didn't quit. I'm a podcast host, man. I hope you're not leaving me here.
No. The one we do on the side. I've recently gotten to another side one. So as you know, don't really know holidays like that anymore. I had a 4-day weekend this weekend, bro.
Good.
I was just like, this is weird because Thursday morning I woke up, I felt weird not going into work. Friday morning, even more weird because I was just like, I need to.
What'd you end up doing? How'd you spend all that extra time off?
Honestly, played some video games, got some stuff done around the house, did a few things errand wise, paid a couple bills, so yay. Watched a few things, not much, but a few things. So there's that. However, I for a little while I was trying to search up where to get The Death of Slim Shady when it comes out. So far, only in digital that has been talked about, at least. So far, nothing, carbon copy, real life.
While we're on this topic of conversation about music, I had this little question. I didn't know how to ask. I didn't feel like Googling it. I want to have an actual conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
So nowadays, back in the day, if you sold a certain amount of albums, your album hit platinum.
Right.
Does that still happen now? Or do they count instead of how many albums you sold, how many downloads you got?
It kind of depends.
So my question is, can an album still go platinum?
Yes. It can get a certification. Basically, it's 1 million. And then if you want to go diamond, it's 10 million. So it kind of goes from there. Gold is 100,000, and then silver is like 10,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, is that streams or downloads? Because if you have Apple Music or Spotify, which is where you're listening to us probably at right now, if you're out there in podcast land, like, you don't have to download the album anymore. If you have those, you can just click it and there you go. You're listening to the album. So
they have two different ways. One is streams. So, I don't know, Slipknot, whatever. Slipknot did 150,000 streams this month. Well, Kendrick Lamar, They Not Like Us, did 1.6 billion streams this month. It kind of they kind of divvy it up from there. Then there's a whole different world outside of that. But to my knowledge, the certifications go off of bought, whether digital or physical copy. They go off that just because it's a whole different field that you have to get into, and it's like evolved into, it's a digital world. I mean, honestly, it really is. We thought back in our age that it was going to be, hit clips or bit clips or whatever those were, or with video games and CDs, we thought going from the regular disc, they were going to go like a GameCube disc, the small discs.
Right.
They were supposed to, and that fizzled out. So, I mean, it evolves and all that, but yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what Eminem pushes out, but
I think he can do.
I'm sure somewhere. Yeah. Well, I was going to say somewhere down the line, I'm sure Well, at least put out a record.
Platinum, 100%. Like, yeah, it's more rare for him not to go platinum than it is for him to go platinum. Like, far more rare. So happy and excited about that. Yeah. How about you? What you been up to?
Man, other than hanging out with you fine people, talking about movies and horror movies and sports, I've been pretty good, man. It was a good holiday weekend. Got to hang out with important people, eat some important things, and watch some important things.
Good.
You guys did not join us last week. We had a double feature last week. We had a Godzilla -1 episode on Sunday, which was our Sunday finale, and then just a few days later, last Tuesday, we started up our Tuesday episodes where we will now, if you want to watch us anyway, we'll be live every Tuesday right here on Imisawa Productions YouTube channel, Tuesdays, 7 p.m. We had a fun conversation last week with Godzilla times Kong, the Lost Empire, right? Lost Empire.
Yeah.
So go back and listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find those links. Where can they find those links at, Ed? Here on the social media.
Man, it's pretty easy. We're kind of we want to keep it simple for you. Facebook.com/the Cine-Men movie podcast, the CINEMEN movie podcast. Instagram is the Cine-Men movie podcast as well. X, formerly known as Twitter, is Cine-Men 405. That is CINEMEN 405. And the email, of course, is cinemen921@gmail.com. Of course, once again, that is CINEMEN921@gmail.com. You can go ahead and email us, send us anything on those links, keep up with what some of us are doing and all that good stuff, and just spread word, man. We love to hear from y'all. So yeah, keep going from there.
Spread the word of the great gospel that is movies.
Yes,
let's get into some recent watches and recommendations. If you guys out there have any recent watches or want us to check anything out, hit us up. Especially on, like Ed said, on any of those emails, social medias. I did have a suggestion from a listener. It's called In a Violent Nature.
Okay.
It's a horror movie. You can rent it on Prime Video for $6.99, but other than that, I don't think it's out yet. So that is a suggestion from emails from In Plain View. I don't know if that's like another podcast host but thank you, In Plain View, for sending that recommendation.
Right.
I'll go ahead and get us started. Last week I stated that I started The Bear season 3, but like I said, I just started it. Haven't checked anything else out. I went through and checked out the documentary that Zach suggested called Movie Pass, Movie Crash. It's on HBO Max or Max. It was a pretty decent watch. And then I just binged Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3. And then I watched Axel F on Netflix. And other than 3 being complete crap, I enjoyed all 4 movies. So I recommend those. I own the first 3, but I believe all of them are on Netflix. So
pretty sure
all 3 plus the new one. So
yeah,
you can watch the new one without watching any of the other ones. So I recommend the new one. It's a pretty good watch. It's put out by just like the same company who did the first 3, Jerry Bruckheimer Productions. So those movies are always action packed if it's got Jerry Bruckheimer on it. So if I could suggest anything fast, Netflix it up and check out the Beverly Hills Cop movies. What about you, man? You recheck out anything?
Funny enough, I got ahead and checked out the first 3 Fast and the Furiouses, just to see like if I still feel good about them, if I still like them quite a bit, or even what is it that I like about them compared to why I didn't really love the latter half of the film series. I don't know, man. It's still the same thing with 1. 2 is still that cool kind of funny comedy more than anything, for that matter.
I think they're all. I went recently checked out all of them like a few years ago, man, and I still think they're pretty fun movies.
I mean, they are. They are. I just personally feel like they lost their selves after a while because 1 is gritty, dude. One has so much texture to it that it's not even funny. Um, the only thing with 1 is some of the camera blends, I guess you could say, or how the camera lenses are, kind of didn't age well. If that makes sense, it looks older than it is. 2 is just like, other than okay, so you've got cheesy one-liners like with forget about it, cuz, and all that, or what was it? Step back before y'all get roasted like barbecue or something like that when they throw out the flames for the first street race. And
That's
then
just early. That's just early 2000s.
exactly. And then the third one, I think the third is underappreciated. Lucas Black did pretty well in that, but the whole cast was really good, and it was nice to get out of just LA or Miami and see some other part of the world that is a whole different culture. So I mean, out of all of them, I mean, personally, 3 or
Are you gonna go
1,
back and rewatch all of them? And if so, like, are you gonna watch them in theatrical release or the order they were meant for you to watch them?
probably theatrical, honestly. Just to kind of see, because I know what timeline they should be, but just to kind of get a feel for what I was thinking, because I remember going and seeing 4 and 5 in theaters, and I remember seeing up to 7 in theaters. I think 8 I did not see in theaters, and then 9 I did. So I mean, I've had some here's and there's. 5 I actually went to go see at the drive-in, for that matter. So
Nice.
there's that. Yeah, just ups and downs here and there, here's and there's. Execution's good on some, execution isn't good on some. It just varies, honestly. That's really it, to me. So I'll go ahead and kind of get more up to date and more current, concrete feelings about it. But I'll go from there.
Other than that, guys, let's dig into what we're here to talk about. Let's dig into the meat and potatoes. Today, we're talking about Maxxxine, the latest A24 horror movie. Which of you guys have been listening? We've talked about X, we've talked about Pearl. So why not finish off the trilogy opening weekend? Currently on IMDb, it's got a 6.9. Rotten Tomatoes is 75%. The Metascore is 65 out of 100. Letterboxd is at a 3.3, and the Google users like it at 88%, with a July 3rd, 2024 release date. It had a $2 million budget. Right now, it has opened up with a little over $8 million at the box office. In the 1980s, Hollywood adult star and aspiring actress Maxine Minks finally gets her big break, but as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. Starring Mia Goth, Simon Prast, Elizabeth
Halsey,
Debicki,
Lily Collins,
Lily Collins,
Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo. Dude, this is a loaded cast.
It is a loaded cast, man. Kevin Bacon.
Kevin fucking Bacon, man.
Yeah. But let's get into it. It's directed by Ty West, written by Ty West, and like we said, it follows Pearl from last year and X from last year as well. Let's kind of dig into it, man. Spoiler alert: if you guys have not went out and seen this movie in theaters, we're at the 15-minute mark exactly. So go check this out, and we'll spoil the shit out of it right now.
You know, So I'm gonna say one thing up front. I don't think you need to see Pearl for this.
No.
You really don't, because it doesn't. It ties in, but it ties in with the first movie, not the third at all. You can see the first and the third and be just fine. Theatrical release is different than chronological order, of course, but so
I got
don't know.
something. I got something to point out too. I think I agree with you. I think you can watch X and then watch this one. I don't necessarily think you have to watch Pearl. I mean, to me, Pearl didn't do anything for me other than Mia Goth's performance, which was outstanding. I don't think it really does anything for me for this trilogy, which I heard possibly it could be a franchise. I heard that a fourth movie could be in develop. But go ahead. What were you about to say?
I've got to say, it's awesome that they churn these out so quickly. Now that could be my ignorance of saying, I feel like
X and Pearl was filmed back to back. It was filmed as one whole movie.
And that's the thing right there. I was just like, that could be my ignorance of saying that and not knowing exactly when they were filmed. But then there's that. So, I mean, still, churning them out pretty quickly. That's still impressive either way within basically a calendar year, give or take a few months. That's impressive because, you look at, and I know you look at anything like Marvel or Fast and Furious or DC, and it's 2 to 3 years for another movie to come out, if that. But with these, I feel like they got better as it gone on. And I'm not saying X was bad. I don't think X was bad. I just think they got better as they went, personally.
To me, X was a lot of fun. X was a throwback. It felt like a throwback 70s slasher, and like the gore, the prosthetics, like everything about X was just a whole hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you felt that Jason or Freddy or Michael vibe, or Texas Chainsaw for sure.
And I mean, I kind of felt the same with this movie. I felt like I was watching an 80s B horror movie, and I think that's exactly what Ty West wanted you to feel while you're watching his movies. Like I said, again, if you haven't seen them, go check out Pearl. I'm gonna watch these eventually in the way they were supposed to, Pearl, X, Maxxxine. But if you just want to watch the slasher version of these movies, then I would just watch X and Maxxxine. But the way this movie opens up with automatically seeing Mia Goth and her performance within a performance where she's doing the audition, man, I think that was a phenomenal way to kick off the movie. And then as soon as she gets done, you get the soundtrack and the ZZ Top song of her going to her car, and she's telling everybody you might as well just go home because she just fucking nailed it.
Yep, that was good. And I mean, honestly, it is still kind of one of those things back in the day to where it was like you had to have that confidence. It was kind of a fake it till you make it kind of thing. I'm better than you. I don't know if I am, but I am better than you kind of thing. Nowadays it's changed a bit, but there's that. But this, you like you said, it opens up and it follows her into the studio, casting. I'm just going to call it warehouse because that's what it looks like to me. That delivery was really, really good. Honestly, it really was. And I mean, it's not necessarily that she was acting, but how she did it. I mean, honestly, I felt like she crushed it.
Well, that's kind of how I opened it up with, like, that's why a performance within a performance.
Yeah.
So like, she was playing Maxine Minx, but Maxine Minx was, trying out for the
Puritan.
The Puritan too. Which, let's talk about that. How they, they did the old Hollywood trip, a movie within a movie. What'd you think of that? About just the whole movie being surrounded by the Puritan too, or that's the role she's trying to get?
It kind of, in flashes, reminded me of Scream. Just because of going to the doing the movie and the movie thing, but at the same time doing the best friend or whatever is in a video store as well, and go to the video store for a lot of advice and all that good stuff there quite a bit.
So were you worried about? Again, obviously we're spoiling all three movies, but the first movie is obviously hardcore sex, bunch of
pretty raunchy.
Yeah, pretty raunchy. Were you worried that this one might have too much going into it, or are you not? You know the story's there. You know her past. It's not going to bother you.
It didn't bother me, but I did figure that it was going to be a lot in that, for that matter.
But other than the first scene where she's walking to the back of the bar, and the dude's there nailing her, and that lady's like, "Hey, Maxxine, how are you?" While she's like getting it, like that's really the only scene compared to like X, where every other scene was just
a porn scene, basically.
Yeah.
I agree.
This one to me focused in a lot more on the kills.
It focused more on the character, in my thought, instead of just sex, basically.
It did focus in a lot on Maxxine, but at this point, I'm kind of like, what did Maxxine do in the movie that was important? What did she do? She didn't do anything.
Not a lot, no. I mean, the biggest thing was trying to further her career. That's really it. And
Maxxine was worried about Maxxine. But even then, I mean, she bends down and she picks up the VHS tape that was left by the PI.
Yeah, I mean,
in her entire lifespan of this movie, she could have helped maybe save the lives of a few people that died. Instead, instead she kind of acted a little selfishly. Again, that goes all the way back to X. But I mean, like, at least in this movie, she really didn't give a shit about anybody.
I mean, honestly, to me, it kind of with regards to the video shop worker, with regards to him, she kind of, I more think she was getting rid of, like, Leon was the only one, like you said, not trying to bang her, not trying to steal a role from her or something like that, to where Tabby could have been trying to steal a role from her, to where Amber might have gotten a role away from her or something like that. There's a few different things in that thought, but I mean,
even Lily Collins, who plays Molly was the main star of the.
She was the Puritans, only original cast member there. I think it's a 50-50 split right down the middle. Worrying about her own career. It's me, not anybody else. Nobody can help me. I can't help anybody. B, what if they find out about these murders that I did or that I participated in and didn't notify anybody, kind of thing.
See, that's another thing I kind of wanted to dig deep into, was like, in any of the movies, does it state, and I could be overlooking this whole thing, she's not related to Pearl in any way, is she?
Not that I know of. Not that I remember.
That's not her grandma?
No. Because, I mean, in X, when you kind of recognize your own grandchild, and I mean, the ages do kind of add up, to be fully honest, that it could have been.
And I just don't know if it doesn't mention it at all, or if I'm just overlooking, or if that's just maybe like a fantasy fan booking kind of thing. But like when she kills the guy that pulls the knife on her and she stomps on his nutsack and it completely implodes. First off, I was like, okay, I'm like, I know what I'm getting into now. It's gonna be graphic. Let's fucking go. Let's buckle up and go for the ride. And then B, I was like, is it teasing her to possibly be the killer in this movie? Is she, did she just snap whenever she went through the whole thing of X and just constantly, now she's like, okay, I got the taste for blood. I want to keep doing this. So that's, that's where I thought the movie was going to kind of go. And then even towards the end, I thought it was going to go that way. But who knows? I still feel like I still have that question. Is Maxxine related to Pearl and she didn't know about it? Because, spoiler alert, we'll talk about this movie so we can just get everything unbuckled. The killer ends up being her dad. Okay? And throughout the entire X movie, you hear his voice in the background whenever there's a TV on or whenever somebody is preaching, it's her dad. Her dad also opens up preaching at the beginning of this movie, telling her that she's a star and what's the line? She doesn't deserve the life she doesn't want, or something like that.
I won't accept a life I don't deserve.
There you go. And so, like, it teases that her dad is going to make some kind of appearance in this movie. At least that's what I felt going in. And I still almost kind of thought, because it teases the fact that in the movie, and again, let me know, stop me if I'm just like maybe overthinking this, but in the movie, it feels like she can't get a decent role because of her pornography background.
Yeah.
So going into the movie, I thought it was her and her dad plotting this whole thing together so they can get her sins washed out on live TV, or at least on film, so he can cleanse her and make her reborn again. You know what I mean? I thought that's where that was going.
So you're kind of right on it. I mean, honestly, it wasn't planned out by Pearl, at least not that it's given away like that.
What about Maxxine?
I'm sorry, Maxxine. I'm sorry. It's not planned out by Maxxine. At least it's not planned like that. It is certainly planned out like that by Maxxine's father, however.
Do you think he wanted it? Do you think he really did want to kill her when he had her tied up? You don't think he was going to kill her?
No.
Because what if he did that to everybody else that he killed? What if he tied them up and did the whole ritual thing before they eventually died? At least to the actresses that he had them go to Hollywood. Because remember, he sent out the letter and the invitation to the Hollywood party. They eventually got up there, went to the Hollywood sign, and then he killed them and did whatever. They never made it back down. But he did come down and kill the video store worker and some other people. So my question was, do you think he did the whole ritual to the people that he invited up there?
I think he did the whole ritual, yes, but I think he did it in a slightly different manner than with her. I don't think he was happy about her past, but since she did start to try and go straight, if you will, or legit, or whatever you want to call it, I think he was trying to help her out in a way that he knew he could. So to be the help you need, I'm going to be the biggest villain I can. And I think because, okay, a lot of this is kind of not based, but breadcrumbed around Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, the actual Night Stalker back in the day.
So that's another interesting point, because I personally like how they took a real life serial killer and kind of just sprinkled that into a brand new movie. What'd you think?
I mean, it fits the time. So, I mean, it would have been at least talked about. For that matter.
Two of the adult film stars who died, didn't one of them even talk about the Black Dahlia?
Yes, Halsey's character, Tabby Martin,
Yeah.
she did. She was the dyed black hair and all that good stuff.
She's
That
the
was
one
in the
that got a
cab.
hot dog.
Yeah, which she's all right. She was forgettable in a way, honestly.
Well, I mean, yeah, most of those characters were. I would even say even Moses Summery, who played Leon, even he's kind of forgetful. He had a pretty cool death. I mean, out of everybody who died, I would like to go out that way. I'd like to be killed and murdered inside of a video rental store. I think that'd be pretty badass.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Exactly. But you know what I also want to know is like when she got the tape and she was watching it, you don't think she automatically started putting like two and two together and be like, should I not let somebody else see this? I mean, she dropped it off at the video store for him to research it. Did
Yeah,
he not even try to watch it? You think he, it didn't even bring that up.
I was about to say I don't think he did because he didn't seem interested in it. Um,
Was
yeah, he
he?
searched up a bit, but not much came of it.
I don't think this is a big deal that we have to bring this up, but he wasn't trying to do anything with her. Was he a different? You think he was,
Swinging for the other
flamboyant
team.
in the movie?
I think he was swinging for the other team, which if so, cool, whatever. Um,
Because she just used and abused him for his likeness and his kindness, and
yeah,
it eventually came back and bit him in the ass.
unfortunately,
Uh,
because looked at it as okay, you're one of the better friends or best friends, whatever. So you got to go.
and what I
We
like
got to
about this,
fight her.
what I like about this movie is, we're both big horror fans. I mean, this podcast started off with the first like 6 episodes with horror movies.
Yep.
I like that this is a slasher, but yet there's meaning behind every single kill.
Yeah.
There's meaning to the story. There's a good performance. There's really good cinematography. The cinematography was stunning in this movie. The soundtrack, the score, like this was a pretty top-notch movie for it just to have a $2 million budget. Like I don't know why other slashers that are trying to be, quote unquote trending, like I don't know why they can't kind of develop the same likeness. Even if this is a standalone movie and there's no such thing as X and there's no such thing as Pearl, this movie by itself stands alone really good as
It can.
as a pretty good slasher movie. I mean, can you name any kill in this movie that was kind of just thrown out the window, like it made no sense whatsoever?
No,
Even
not
even Detective Torres, his death, you don't physically see him die. He gets just a gunshot wound, but like his
you.
death was
You
even.
kind of see him physically die because while he's next to her, while she's next to him, he basically slips in. But
And he tells you that he was an aspiring actor.
yeah,
Which
which
is
I
cool.
mean, like okay, but at the same time, like he kind of annoyed me to a little degree. Just he went off for almost no reason. If
That
that
first
makes
time,
sense.
that first time he was trying to get some stuff out of Maxxxine, even his partner was like, "You blew that one away."
It would be the first 2 times because when they were if you remember when they were in the building, the classroom or whatever, he went off
Oh
on her
yeah.
then too. I would say that would be like the worst of it. But
What'd you think of? So yeah, you did. Yeah, you're right. You have the two detectives. Um, I gotta say, the guy who stole the show for me in this movie was
yeah,
her agent.
Giancarlo
Yeah.
Esposito. He was. I mean, he's always good, whether he's a bad guy, a good guy that's got bad intentions, if you will.
I first seen him in Breaking Bad.
Yes, I think that's where a lot of people noticed him first.
And it was kind of sad that this is one of his last roles. But yeah, man, every scene he was in, he kind of just made me chuckle. Working out, and he was talking to her about like, why didn't you come to me about this earlier? Because if you know, the moment she went to him, like Kevin Bacon's character did not last very long.
No, I know.
Speaking of Kevin Bacon, John Labatt, he played the PI. What'd you think of old Footloose in this movie?
Creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy as hell. He played that very well.
It's the second new movie that I've seen him in back to back. He's also in the new Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Oh no!
So
shit.
yeah, he's had a pretty good year so far.
I would say, like, I know this is a little too on the nose, but I would say to me in this, he reminds you of a person who'd go into a theater and start
Whacking
getting
it.
himself off. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's talk about her. Okay, that's another scene I want to talk about. The scene where Maxxine is performing in a peep show.
No, that wasn't Maxxine. That was Halsey.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Maxxine. I was like, wait a minute.
That
That's her
was
dad
Tabby.
sitting there.
That was Tabby, because Tabby leaves and then takes off the red wig and stuffs it in the coat, revealing she has the black short hair.
And that's when he gets her.
And that's when that's when she goes to get the hot dog, and while they're going to walk to get the hot dog, she reveals that she's going to a party up by the Hollywood sign. Some out of town producer invited her, and oh crap, the other girl Amber, and that's when both of them get their demise, and then are found in the lake or river or something like that.
Yep.
So there is that part of it.
I gotta talk. Let's give a little love to the scene where they show up. And when I say they, I mean Elizabeth, Debicki, who plays Elizabeth Bender, and Maxxine have a scene where they are on the lot of Bates Motel or Psycho.
Oh, yeah.
That where they kind of just tie that in, and they just the mentioning of it. And Maxxine looks up at the house and she sees the hallucination of Pearl.
Yep.
That was pretty dope. That was a pretty good scene.
I thought it was really cool that time, and then when they gone back up there and shown that the inside was just basically boards.
Yeah,
just basically 2x4s that were built up. Not even a front facade to where you go up a flight of stairs and then there's another room and that's it. Like, it was full on just built for outside movies. Exactly. Yeah, that was cool. That was kind of crazy though. So
yeah. And
makes
it just
you realize.
Go ahead.
Makes you realize how much that they like build in one section and then do in a whole different area.
But just the influence of like, it just had like well, to me anyway, it had like a full circle of life kind of moment of just movies, Maxxine, Psycho, and I'm not talking about the movie itself. I'm talking about us.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a whole circle of life thing. I don't know about you if you got any of that while they were sitting there talking about Psycho, and I'm just like, man.
Yeah, I was just like,
everything
cool.
Just always points back to Psycho, no matter what we do.
Yeah, as something somewhere somehow down the road, it does. It really does.
I like how also. What'd you think about this? You know, some movies are like, oh, it's an '80s. It's based in the '80s, but it's throwing too much '80s at you. I thought there was just enough sprinkled into this. You know, even going back to the cinematography, how they're walking out of the peep show and they're walking to the hot dog street cart, and you see like, you know, St. Elmo's Fire is now playing. You see a bunch of other stuff. So obviously it wanted you to know that, hey, we're in the 80s, the music, the soundtrack. Was it too much for you, or did you appreciate that it was just like letting you know we're in the 80s?
No, I mean, honestly, if you're going to set it in the time, be in the time.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. if you set something in the 90s, be in the 90s. I want to see Mountain Dew in the 90s way, Coke in the 90s way, Pepsi,
Just
like
something.
I want to see Heinz purple ketchup. You know what I mean? Like, let me know. Let me have my nostalgic moment, because that if you're gonna do it, make it time accurate at least. Same with anything older, 1800s and all that.
Yeah.
Like,
and the
yeah.
timing, the pacing of the movie flew by for me. I was like not really on the edge of my seat, but I just couldn't wait to see what had happened next. And then you get so invested in the story that I was like, man, I kind of know where this is going, but I hope it goes this way. What if it goes this way? And then by the time I look up at the clock, it's like, man, she sees her dad and she hears the voice of her dad in the opening video, which was at the beginning of the movie. It's an hour and 44 minutes. And I think, time with credits, it's like an hour and 38 minutes. So it flew by for me. Pacing was pretty phenomenal. What about you?
Yeah, pacing was good. I mean, it was long enough for you to grab onto what they were going through, but it was short enough for you to go ahead and still be excited about the ending.
I saw some mixed reviews. I want to talk to you. I wanted to bring this up to you.
Yeah.
I saw some mixed reviews about how there was no really true character development or no really payoff for the end for Maxxxine. I'm like, what movie were you watching? There is a massive payoff for Maxxxine.
I can understand the character development, because even like you said, she didn't do a lot except for to further her own career.
Well, no, the character development was like on the other side characters. Like this isn't a movie about her dad or the other hooker in the movie or the side hooker or the name of the movie is Maxxxine.
Yeah.
You got just enough of Kevin Bacon, and it told you just enough about who he is, the lawyer. If anything, I would have wanted a little bit more screen time of the director, Elizabeth Debicki. I think she did phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah, she was good in going ahead and actually, because when she grabbed the fake blood, just like all over that girl's face, like, damn. Okay. That was a cool shot. I got to give it to the other lady, the older lady. I don't remember her name, but when she got in the casting and all that good stuff, the older woman out of the three that sat there,
I know who you're talking about.
And it was just like, okay, so do you mind showing us your boobs? And then the camera pans to her back, and she's just like, yeah, sure, kink, kink. And it, because it's just like,
you wanted to see him.
It's not whether that you got to see him in the first movie either way, but it's not necessarily that, but it's the you're here for us, so we need this. Either do or get out. And don't get me wrong, how many of those other girls in that line that were in big dresses and all that good stuff that probably had to do the same thing and were like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. No, I don't want to. No, I don't think so. How many, got turned away just for that? It's a crazy thing, but yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the overall ending, Daddy's death? It kind of played the fact of, I thought she was going to get in trouble if she killed him.
I did too.
Because it played off like that. Her life kind of flashed before her eyes, or her future flashed before her eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I did too. I thought she was going to jail for at least a couple years or something. And yeah, because I agree. Like most of herself, like she kept having the flashbacks and all that. And it was just like, oh, okay, great. Now they're just going to, subdue this for a bit and kind of, what are they going to wait for her for the premiere? Are they going to just say, screw her. She's not the star. She's one of them, kind of thing. But additionally with Molly, she said, she hangs on to the ones that she trusts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So obviously this makes her trust because she knew something was going on. She may not have known what was going on, but she knew something was going on. So she was just like, handle it, take the weekend, handle it before you get back. She's like, okay, I intend to.
And then she still has her agent in her back pocket, which you saw him take care of the Kevin Bacon situation. And when the PI died, dude, I thought that was a phenomenal scene.
Oh man. The thing with dogs was a little much, but other than that, it was.
Because even then, the lawyer kind of made me chuckle then, because he was like, you told me sooner, this would have been taken care of a lot sooner.
And that's the thing. He
had her back.
Timing worked out how it needed to, or how it should have, plain and simple. Yeah. Maybe wouldn't have gotten the letter to, because unfortunately she had everything to go ahead and bust the case open, but she chose, I don't talk to fucking pigs, or something like that. So it's just like, okay, that got 3 of your friends killed, or at least 2 coworkers and a friend, one of the 2.
Man, speaking of St. Elmo's fire, the scene where he's behind her at the stoplight and that song is playing, she gets out and just keys the shit out of his face, boy.
She Wolverine that fool.
Man,
I was like, oh,
that was a hard-hitting scene.
It was. I loved it. That was a good scene right there. Just because it showed like I still have you know what happened. Yep. You've seen this and you know what happened. I understand you're getting paid for this. I know who you are now. But you're just going to come up to me like I'm not a shark? All right. Got to bare the teeth and see. And I mean, she sunk in and let him know. So he wasn't afraid of her because the ensuing chase not too long afterwards, but still.
Good chase scene.
Yeah.
So we spoiler alert, we went and seen it together for everybody out there watching and listening.
Yes.
We kind of leaned over and we were like, if it's not the dad, who else is it? And you kind of had mentioned maybe a survivor from X. If it wasn't the dad, which survivor or who do you think would have made the most sense if they picked a random survivor? The only one you really don't see die on screen is the grandpa, right? He just had a heart attack and fell over, which he could have technically maybe been saved. But even then, 10 years later or 5 years later, how old would he have really been? So who would you have picked? Yeah, who would you have picked?
And this is not remembering the deaths, so please understand that. But the one guy that was jealous and heartbroken of her doing things on camera.
Oh no. That was Jennifer Ortega's boyfriend. And he's the one that he got fucking gutted by Pearl.
That's what I'm saying, though. I don't remember the deaths, but to me, one second, let me search up the cast. Because don't get me wrong, you have to go with someone who makes sense. You have to go with someone who's got something that either happened against them or happened towards them, and all of that. But it's more just like
the other blonde lady who was in X. She got pushed in with the alligator, but technically you don't see her really die. You just see her get pushed in the lake, and then blood happens with the alligator. The other actress who wanted to be a star.
Because it wouldn't have been Jackson Hole. I mean, he was getting to do what he wanted to do. It wouldn't have been Wayne Gilroy. So what? R.J. Nichols? R.J. Nichols. To me, that's the only one that truly made sense as far as like having something against anybody, just because that led Jenna Ortega's character, Lorraine Day, to kind of follow suit and basically try porn out.
Yep.
in that movie. So that would be the only one from that would have made sense. But now that you mentioned how he died, probably wouldn't have been a very good pick, to be honest. Yeah. Help.
Maxxxine, after you too. Let's talk about a favorite scene. Do you have a favorite scene?
Honestly, I would have to say the one where she goes up to him in the car with the key knuckles. That one just kind of spur of the moment.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Just out of the blue in a way. I would say other than that, probably the subtle nods towards Psycho with Elizabeth and Maxxxine. That was cool, and then it kind of was just like, hey, with us. So yeah.
I like John Labbitt's death in the junkyard. I thought that was fun. I really enjoyed Leon's death with the instead of seeing the front throat slash, you get the back of the neck slash.
Yeah.
I thought that was good, and then I thought the whole ending climax was good. And honestly, any part that Mia Goth performed in, man, she again, she is becoming a star.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Star rating, Ed. We'll start with you.
4. I will go ahead and say 4. Great movie. Thought a lot of it. So it just won't be something that I'm gonna be like, dude, gotta watch this today and tomorrow and next week.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. That's the only thing I'm downsizing it on.
I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. I think it was a fabulous movie. Great cinematography. All the kills were great. Had meaning. Mia Goth's performance was great. This could get a little higher depending on how the rewatchability might be. But right now I'm going to stand at a 4. I absolutely loved it. Go check it out. It's in theaters. Next week, Ed, what are we talking about next week?
Oh, next week is a time-honored movie, 1994's Brandon Lee, The Crow. Man, there's a lot to unpack in this movie. There really, really is. So
next Tuesday, July 16th, 7 p.m. Man, the 30th anniversary of The Crow. I can't wait to talk about that movie. Like you said, a lot to unpack and uncover here. That'll do it, I think, for this episode. Tomorrow night, if you guys are hanging out with us on this Emisawa Productions YouTube channel, me and the guys from Friday the 14th podcast are talking Scream 6. And then Thursday, me and Jay will talk Unforgiven 2005, which was located right here in Oklahoma City. So that's Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Unforgiven 2005. Next Tuesday, The Crow, 1994. Ed, fun movie, fun topic. Maxxxine was fabulous. I can't wait for next week to hear your thoughts on The Crow. Any other comments before we leave Maxxxine today?
Honestly, like we said earlier, you don't have to see all 3. You can just go with this one or one. So X and Maxxxine. It's a standalone, or it can be a sequel. Technically, chronologically, it is a sequel. Yeah, honestly, good movie. I would recommend it for sure.
Go check it out. It's in theaters right now. That's Ed. I'm Juan, and man, what a great movie. Maxxxine, go check it out in theaters. We'll see you next week for The Crow on a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.